Today we're going to paint this vibrant honeysuckle. On my palette I have alizarin crimson, pyrrole red, quinacridone rose, scarlet pyrrole, and gamboge. And then it comes across and it has some little glare spots where some little sunspots. Now I'm going to switch over to this flower because I want this to dry all the way. And this one, I'm mixing red with a little bit of scarlet pyrrole, so an orange, red with orange to make it the lighter of these. And that's a little more intense than it needs to be, so I've rinsed my brush and added water. It's one of the learning curves when people go from acrylic to watercolor is having to water down their paint to get lighter colors instead of adding white. And now it gets slightly darker, so I'm just going to go to some pure red right here. And then over on this side there's actually some pink in it. So I'm going to add some pink. And it just, you know, you don't have to do all these nuances. You can just worry about the shades, the values. But somehow, real flowers do have all these nuances, and so it's very pleasant when you put them in. This one has the most detail. This has the red and alizarin. And then as I get out here, since there's alizarin behind it, I'm going to lighten it and go into a little bit more orange. Sometimes just taking some off of your brush helps. Sometimes you have to add a little water. I'm getting so dark on these that I might need to add water to my whole puddle of paint. Now I have the pyrrole along with some of the quinacridone rose on my brush. And I'm going considerably lighter over here. So that's quite bright, and then I'm dipping my water to bring it down, and then it gets lighter. It looks almost transparent. This is where the sun hits, and I'm going to take a bit of the gamboge for that. There's a bit of gamboge in there, and then it gets back into the peachier color. When we get into a pinker color, this one's got quite some color interests in it. Changes a lot. And some more of the redder color down at the bottom, but not bright. This one's kind of paler and the sun's hitting it stronger. And that spot going across there is just plain pink. I'll let it blend in a little bit. Some of the orangey color, but it's also got quite a bit of yellow. Just not quite that bright as I first started it out. at the tip. It has this little hook that's redder. I'll blend it in. And up at the top, it gets quite pink. This is Quin Rose that I'm using right now. And I'm going to water my brush and dry it off and bring this up and down. And then there's this very light area. But I'm not going to leave quite so white. This is pink and orange to mix together now. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong flower. We don't need pink and orange in here. Just a little bit more color here. And this goes up in stripes into here. And then becomes all pink up here. Darker than that, but I'm going to get the yellow in first. Now this Gamboge yellow, it's a nice color of yellow, but it's quite brilliantly bright. If you aren't careful, you'll have a louder than it already is flowers. Back to the pink at the top. Now I've got to figure out where this flower goes. I think it goes right up here. I think that other flower is behind. Now let's look at these other flowers. I don't think this one's dark enough. Yeah, not too as bad as I thought though. That's not too bad there. And up there it's too light. So let's put some time in on this one. I have on my palette Hooker's Green, Permanent Green Pale, Sap Green, Azo Yellow, and Manganese Blue. And first I'm going to paint this little stem right here, and then we'll go into the background. Phthalo and the Permanent Pale. And some yellow is going in there. Still mixing the sap green and the permanent pale green. And I'm going to go in here and get this part done, and then I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. That helped that a lot. And then there's some other areas where it's better if you get the behind these, if you do this with a small brush. And that's pretty dark, but not quite that dark. I'm going to make the paper slightly wet. I'm going to spread it out a bit. I don't want it dripping. And this brush holds a lot of water, so it's easy to overdo on the water. Now up in this corner, it's quite dark. I'm adding some phthalo blue to my green to make it a more fun color. I think I'm going to work with two brushes on this because I don't want to take the time to be rinsing when I want some color, changes like right here is one of these flowers. Get some red into it. Down here's another one. And then in between are all these different shades of green. I'm going to let these blend into each other. So let's get some darker greens in here. And you need to move a little bit quickly so that your paints can run together. But we are going to do bouquet later, so there is a chance to redeem anything pretty much with those. They just help. And I do want all of the area covered with paint. And then some of the orangier colors. And then there's whole areas that are mostly red and orange up here. And they're kind of circular. And then the green running into them. Okay, now I'm going to get my good wet brush again and here. And just fill in a lot of space down here. And we have some orange. Okay, now the background's quite busy. A little too busy for me. In the comments below, let me know what your favorite flower memories are and what flowers are nostalgic for you. So we're going to do some bouquet, and then we'll move on into the tweaking and the final editing. So I don't like to have all my bouquet the same size. I've seen that done, but my personal preference is to have some rather large ones. And so I have a stencil and these brushes, which can be found in the comments. You need lots of tissues for this. And there you have a faint circle. And then if the bouquet overlap, it's considerably more natural looking. And there's some places there already is one. So you might want to put one next to it. So I'm going to leave it dark right by the flower and form the bouquet on the other side. And then this looks awfully dark to me, so I think we should, maybe do a big one here. I'm dipping my brush frequently in between to clean water, and sometimes you have to dry off the back of that too. Okay, now let's do some little ones. I want this little orange area to be paler. Sometimes you can do two at once, or three. Now this, I want it to go behind, and I'm going to work quick because I don't want to have my flower turn all green. But it makes it look like a glow behind the plants, and then I can fill in. And now I'm just going to go crazy with them. Now I'm going to get the bleed-proof white out. You need some really clean brushes for that. And then we'll take off the frisket. And I'm not going to do much on here, so I'm not getting much out. I'm going to mix it with just a little bit of yellow. And redefine this sunny glow on these, especially on this side. And just like watercolor, you can blend this. Clean off your brush a little bit and soften the edges if you want. In order to take the frisket off, your paper has to be completely dry, so I ran the hairdryer over it. And I take frisket off using tape. Some people like to use their finger, some people like to use a certain kind of eraser for that. And I just find that I end up moving too much paint onto my frisket, my area that's supposed to have frisket on it. And so I do tape. And I just continually move to a clean spot on the tape. So when my tape starts to get green, then I move to a new area on the tape. So I'm putting the yellow on and just bringing it down with more water so that it gets lighter. And then when that's done, I'm taking a little bit of pink and just coming down on this part and letting it blend in. I'm wanting to do a bit more repair. Thanks for watching. I hope you have happy painting this week.